Good morning, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It's Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, and this is your AM update.
So we're going to allow certainly the investigation to continue, and we have confidence that the Secret Service will get to the bottom of it.
FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino announcing renewed FBI investigations into the cocaine found in the Biden White House, the Dobbs Supreme Court leak, and the January 6th pipe bomber.
This morning we pay tribute to their immortal deeds. We share in the sorrow of their beloved families.
President Trump honoring fallen service members in a Memorial Day address at Arlington National Cemetery. Harvard University's battle with the Trump administration escalates, and a viral video appears to show French President Emmanuel Macron's wife shoving his face. What's the story there? All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM update. I would like to introduce you to a new brand of Angus beef. You can order it directly from Riverbend Ranch, which is located just a few miles from West Yellowstone, Montana. Riverbend Ranch raises their cattle a lot differently than most ranches. For example, they never use artificial growth hormones or antibiotics. They track the health of every animal from the day it is born and can guarantee that it has been healthy every day of its life. And they handle their animals humanely and with respect. But most important is the quality of the beef. You'll find it as tender and flavorful as the finest restaurants. And that's because they have spent the last 35 years selecting cattle for tenderness and flavor, aging their beef to perfection for 21 days. The result is some of the most tender and flavorful beef you have ever tasted. You cannot buy beef like this in a grocery store. And since it is shipped directly from the ranch to your home, you get a much better price than going through the middlemen. Order directly from riverbendranch.com. Use promo code Megyn to get $20 off your first order. That's riverbendranch.com, code Megyn. And be prepared. Once you taste it, you're going to be coming back for more. Again, that's riverbendranch.com, code Megyn. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino announcing on X the Bureau's decision to reopen or provide additional resources to 3 high-profile investigations: the cocaine discovered in the Biden White House, the leak of the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade, and the January 6th pipe bombs investigation. The FBI is searching for answers regarding the 2 functioning pipe bombs placed outside of the RNC and DNC headquarters the night before the January 6th, 2021 Capitol riot. According to the FBI, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. on January 5th, an unidentified person wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, mask, gloves, glasses, and Nike Air Max Speed Turf sneakers seen on security camera footage planting the bombs. The RNC pipe bomb found the next day, a young woman doing laundry, spotting it near a dumpster around 12:40 p.m., rushing to alert nearby security. The DNC pipe bomb discovered by Capitol Police shortly after that in an additional security sweep triggered by the discovery of the first bomb. At the time, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris was in the DNC building, a Homeland Security Inspector General report saying her motorcade passed within 20 feet of the bomb as it arrived. In the 4 years since, the FBI reviewing more than 39,000 video files, following more than 500 tips, yet still it has not identified the suspect or definitively said whether it's a man or a woman. In January of this year, the FBI releasing new information about the suspect.
As we mark the 4-year anniversary of the night the pipe bombs were placed on Capitol Hill, the FBI and our partners are renewing our call for tips from the public to help us identify the suspect. One previously unreleased detail is the FBI's estimate of the suspect's height to be approximately 5'7" tall.
A reward of up to $500,000 is available for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect. Bongino also announcing the FBI will look into an incident taking place on July 2nd, 2023. During a routine security sweep of the White House, a Secret Service agent discovering a small bag of cocaine in a cubby located just steps away from the Situation Room. Lab tests later confirming it contained less than a gram of cocaine. At the time, President Biden and family were in Camp David for the 4th of July holiday, but had been at the White House just 2 days before. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre telling reporters the matter was under investigation at the time, noting the location was a heavily traveled area used by West Wing staff and visitors.
Where this was discovered is a heavily traveled area where many White House, West Wing, I should be even more specific, West Wing visitors come through this particular area. I just don't have anything more to share. It is under investigation by the Secret Service. This is in their purview, and so we're going to allow certainly the investigation to continue, and we have confidence that the Secret Service will get to the bottom of this.
The Secret Service closed the investigation 11 days later, citing a lack of physical evidence and claiming there were no fingerprints or identifiable DNA recovered from the bag. Finally, Bongino announcing further scrutiny on the May 2022 leak of the draft Supreme Court opinion in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, a leak the High Court called, quote, an extraordinary betrayal of trust. The leak revealed the court had the votes to overturn Roe v. Wade, confirmed weeks later with the official release of the opinion. The leak of the draft opinion, not only highly unethical, but dangerous to the justices, whose decision to overturn such a hot-button precedent was highly controversial and could obviously lead to death threats or attempts to harm the justices. Indeed, on June 8, 2022, weeks before the final ruling in Dobbs was issued, a California man was arrested with a handgun and charged with attempted murder after he confessed he planned to kill Justice Kavanaugh, in part because of the expected ruling overturning Roe. Kavanaugh joined with the majority. An 8-month probe followed into who leaked that draft opinion. That probe, conducted by the Supreme Court Marshal, Gail Curley, whose normal remit is providing security for the justices and the court buildings placed in charge by Chief Justice John Roberts. Some criticized the decision, saying the FBI might have been more effective. However, they acceded to the Chief Justice's decision to let the marshal handle it. She conducted interviews with 97 employees and a forensic review of digital records, and she failed to identify the source of the leak. Critics called the investigation incomplete, noting the justices themselves were not required to submit sworn statements. Bongino writing on X, quote, I receive requested briefings on these cases weekly, and we are making progress. President Trump on Monday delivering a powerful Memorial Day tribute to the fallen men and women of the U.S. military at Arlington National Cemetery.
We gather today to honor the incredible service members who rest in glory in this cemetery and burial grounds around the world and in 1,000 lonely places known only to God. In every hour of peril, in every moment of crisis, American warriors have left behind the blessings of home and family to answer their nation's call. They've offered all that they had within them and given their last breaths to each and every one of us that we might live safe and breathe free. This morning we pay tribute to their immortal deeds. We share in the sorrow of their beloved families, and as one nation, we give thanks for the ultimate gift they have so selflessly given to all of us.
In otherwise largely reserved remarks, President Trump taking a subtle dig at his predecessor in a moment recognizing soldiers of the Revolutionary War.
Those young men could never have known what their sacrifice would mean to us, but we certainly know what we owe to them. Their valor gave us the freest, greatest, and most noble republic ever to exist on the face of the earth, a republic that I am fixing after a long and hard 4 years. That was a hard 4 years we went through. Who would let that happen? People pouring through our borders unchecked, people doing things that are indescribable and not for today to discuss.
In more freewheeling remarks on Saturday at the West Point commencement ceremony, President Trump delivering some bipartisan criticism.
For at least 2 decades, political leaders from both parties have dragged our military into missions it was never meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. People would say, why are we doing this? Why are we wasting our time, money, and souls in some case? They sent our warriors on nation-building crusades to nations that wanted nothing to do with us, led by leaders that didn't have a clue in distant lands, while abusing our soldiers with absurd ideological experiments here and at home. All of that's ended. The job of the U.S. Armed Forces is not to host drag shows, to transform foreign cultures, but to spread democracy to everybody around the world at the point of a gun. The military's job is to dominate any foe and annihilate any threat to America anywhere, anytime, and any place. A big part of that job is to be respected again.
The president again signaling the contrast between the Trump doctrine and the foreign policy of his predecessors, emphasizing traditional military values at home and an end to endless wars abroad. Coming up, President Trump weighing the next move against Harvard University in the crackdown on illegal displays of on-campus anti-Semitism. And French President Emmanuel Macron denies reports of marital trouble following a viral video showing Mrs. Macron shoving his face. I want to tell you about Patriot Mobile. They support Americans who believe that faith, family, and freedom are worth fighting for. But did you know that they have got cutting-edge technology too? Switching is easy, no store visits, no hassle. Keep your number, keep your phone if you want, or you can upgrade. Their 100% US-based team can activate your phone in minutes right over the phone. Patriot Mobile is one of the few carriers with access to all 3 major US networks, and that means exceptional nationwide coverage. Plus, they can even put a second number on a different network on one phone. It's like carrying 2 phones in one. They have unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet on-the-go devices, and more. You can't get all this from those big guys, so consider making the switch today and experience the Patriot Mobile difference. Go to patriotmobile.com/Megyn or just call 972-PATRIOT and use the promo code Megyn for a free month of service. Switch to Patriot Mobile and defend freedom with every call and text you make. patriotmobile.com/MEGYN or just call 972-PATRIOT. The Trump administration potentially escalating its fight with Harvard University, accusing the school of failing to address campus anti-Semitism and to enforce federal civil rights laws. President Trump on Monday posting to Truth Social, quote, "I am considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from a very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools all across our land. What a great investment that would be for the USA and so badly needed." In a follow-up post, Mr. Trump accusing the school of slow-walking the release of information on foreign students, quote, "so that we can determine after a ridiculous expenditure of billions of dollars how many radicalized lunatics, troublemakers, all should not be let back into our country." Last week, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem notifying the school it would lose its ability to enroll international students next year for failing to comply with simple reporting requests relating to international students. Harvard firing back with a lawsuit calling the move retaliatory and unlawful. From the complaint, quote, "It is the latest act by the government in clear retaliation for Harvard exercising its First Amendment rights to reject the government's demands to control Harvard's governance, curriculum, and the ideology of its faculty and students." The university saying the ban will have a devastating effect on more than 7,000 visa holders who will have to transfer to other schools to maintain legal status. On Friday, Obama appointee District Judge Allison D. Burroughs temporarily blocking the administration's attempt to ban Harvard from accepting foreign students. Also on Friday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirming to Bloomberg the administration is exploring other avenues in its fight against Harvard.
They were in the process of removing the tax-exempt status from Harvard. There's been a lot of issues with Harvard, but that's one that comes within your bailiwick. Where is that process right now?
The president is moving forward with that, and we're also looking at taxes on endowments. And I think the important thing here, and it goes a little bit back to this Main Street versus the elites, that Harvard, to have a tax-exempt status, there are rules you have to follow. And if you're not following the rules, no one's above the law. So we will see if they're following the rules. It looks like there's a substantial number where perhaps they weren't. And, again, too, Harvard is a gigantic hedge fund. They run a leveraged investment model. So we'll see where all that goes.
Harvard sits on the largest university endowment fund in the world at more than $53 billion. Currently, the endowment is exempt from federal income taxes because the school is recognized as having an educational and charitable mission. However, the idea of taxing the endowment has been raised by President Trump in recent months, suggesting Harvard has become more of a political entity. The face shove seen round the world. A viral video appears to show French President Emmanuel Macron's wife, Brigitte, aggressively shoving his face with two hands on Sunday as the couple prepared to disembark from a plane in Vietnam. The Macrons had just landed for a stop on their tour of Southeast Asia when the moment was caught on camera. As staff opened the aircraft door, it appears Mrs. Macron can be seen placing both of her hands on the president's face with enough force to push him slightly sideways and a bit backward. President Macron, looking briefly startled, recovered quickly, realizing he was on camera, then smiling and waving to the crowd below. Mr. Macron later explaining the moment to reporters in remarks translated from French, quote, "There's a video showing me joking and teasing my wife, and somehow that becomes a sort of geoplanetary catastrophe, with people even coming up with theories to explain it. We are horsing around and really joking with my wife." You can decide for yourself what it was by going to megynkelly.com to view the video. Let us know what you think. I'll say this, in 17 years of marriage, I've never joked with Doug to the point of shoving his face back forcefully with both hands. But hey, that's us, the French. That'll do it for your AM update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the Megyn Kelly Show, live on SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.